Welcome, parents, caregivers, grandparents, all of our audience. We're thrilled to have you here again. It's another episode. It's episode 11 of Walk the Talk with me, Isla Redden, and my good friend, Marilise Colbert. So today we're going to talk about consistency, and we're going to talk about what it means for us as parents and why it's important. So I'm going to throw the ball to Marilise to get us started.
Thanks, Isla. I feel this is such an important topic because it is something that we all struggle with. And the more you have to deal with surprises and changes that come your way, the more difficult it becomes to maintain that solid base of this is how we work, this is how we do it, these are the reasons why, and this is why it will help you. So the more that we can just focus on that and see the big picture, the easier it is to maintain that form of assurance and provide that security and stability for your child every single day. And I think this is when it becomes easier to say, look, this is how we do it. This is why we decided on this. No, we're not going to change because you don't feel like it today. No, we're not going to do this and that because you've changed your mind, because that doesn't help anybody. We all need to maintain consistency for our sake, for our children's sake, for the sake of the household, for the sake of peace, for the sake of everything. It enables us to plan better and deal with things better. So yes, I think it's wildly important, as you can probably tell. So I look forward to get into that more. And I don't know, should I just quickly explain, because Isla is very good about explaining what happens in a child's brain at any given point, which is why it's easier to understand the importance of something. And what immediately came to mind when we were discussing this topic is the issue of adrenaline, because most people don't realize this. Why do you end up making decisions and veering from what you would normally do in a calm moment when you are under adrenaline, when suddenly an accident happens, or you are challenged with something that you weren't quite prepared for? It's because under adrenaline, your reptilian cortex and your neocortex is not functioning the way it normally would. So you're not as rational and sensible as you would be in a calm moment. Even if we feel that we are not. It's been, the research has proved this over and over again. Doesn't matter who you are and how cool you are, you cannot do it. So real good, proper, solid solutions need to be found in calm moments. And everyone can say, these are my priorities. This is what I need to do. Let's make a plan that can work for everyone. So I don't know if you agree with that. That is where I have found the best, most effective solutions are found. It's in the calm moments when you can plan ahead of time, not in the moment when you have to save everyone from a crisis.
Yeah, I think you make a really, really good point. And when you brought this up, I hadn't actually thought about the fact that we create routines. We create routines because the routines are what keeps us safe. We cannot be in every single moment in our lives having to make a new decision. We would be crazy. The human brain cannot manage that. So
safe and sane. Yes.
So there's a reason, a real strong reason why we do what we do. But in those moments where the unexpected happens, which is what you're talking about, we don't, it's harder for us to figure out how do we handle that. And having structures already in place where we know what we're supposed to do when we're able to pause and calm down enough to think about it, help us go back into a sense of safety and security again. And when we feel safe and secure, we're much more confident and competent to manage whatever is happening around us. So I think a lot of the consistency that we are naturally looking for in our lives is part of putting structures in place that keep us safe and keep us from being completely overwhelmed by the insanity of the outside world and so much that's coming at us that is unexpected.
And the thing is, we underestimate the amount of security it provides our children with that, if they know this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and then that's what we're going to do. It really does provide a secure and safe environment for them, even if it's something that they don't even look forward to doing or don't necessarily want to do. It still gives them that sense of safety and security because they know what's coming. They're not constantly living in this state of fear or, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what, and that is a real problem. That is a real problem. And yeah, so there are so many examples that we can mention in this regard. But I think two things that we said are good examples because it pertains to every family is routine in terms of bedtime and meal times. So I don't know if you want to talk about that first or whether I should just go. But I mean,
Go ahead, because you're going to bring it to why it's important for the younger kids. And I can then talk about why it's important and where we need to flex with the kids.
Okay, so just in terms of bedtime, it's so important, and it's a thing that parents really struggle with because, don't want to go to bed. No, I'm not tired. No, all of this. It's not a choice that your child should be able to make at an early age because you are supposed to know better, and you know that if I put my child to bed every night at this time, I'm actually establishing a routine that is going to benefit body, mind, soul, everything. Your child learns this is the time when my body needs to switch off, when I'm going to get my rest, when everything needs to come in for landing. And even on the night where they don't want to comply, the more consistent you are about it, guess what? The easier it's going to become to put them to bed every night at that time. And yes, we are human, and yes, there are days when things are not working the way it should. But if you are consistent about that process at the end of the evening, that process about going to bed, saying, this is the time, you can choose a book, we will read something, and we will talk, and you will go to bed calmly and safely. It really instills so much more in that child than you can possibly imagine. And it also gives you the assurance that it's going to free up your evening for everything else that you need to do. So it brings a measure of calm and assurance that we underestimate as parents. And I mean, for an older child, what does bedtime mean for them?
Well, I think for an older child, it can the battles. There are battles as well. The battles just come in a slightly different way. What we do know is that for teenagers, the amount of change that's happening in that child's body and brain is taking so much energy that sleep is incredibly important. It really is in these teenage years. And it's hard to find it because schools don't yet, in most places, schools don't yet understand that schools for high schoolers need to start later in the morning. Kids are going to bed later, and they're going to bed later because the melatonin, those brain chemicals, they happen later in the teenage years. They then kind of revert back in the adult years, but you've got the childhood to teenage years to adult years, and the sleep cycles actually change biologically there. So we've got this sort of conflict, so to speak, that's already set up inside our systems of kids are naturally not able to get to sleep early because the brain chemicals haven't, those sleep chemicals haven't kind of come in yet. And yet they have to be up at the crack of dawn to get to school because school's going to start at 7:30 a.m. or 8 a.m. or something like that. Which is why with my kids, we would have a Saturday where the kids would be, they'd sleep until 2 p.m. if there wasn't something else that they had to do, because they had to catch up on all of this stuff that they'd missed. So I think, again, I think you're absolutely right. I think consistency and routine is so incredibly important, because what it's doing is it's setting up our children and ourselves to not have to think about other things, right? Not being overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what's going to happen. Being consistent is really important, but understanding at the same time that there are other factors that are going to come into play, and we've got to work with those, is also important. So back to that aspect of, you've got routine and you've got structure, you then need some level of adaptability and flexibility because of the reality there. But it's not that one day it's one thing and another day it's something else.
Yes.
That doesn't work, because it's the routine and the structure that the kids need at all ages. And we need as well. We absolutely need to know that we're going to go to bed at a certain time and we're going to get up at a certain time. Otherwise, our world becomes chaotic too. So I think that the having the consistency of the routine is what's important. Knowing that you are going to need to be flexible at times on it is also important.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And you know, model behavior. We know it doesn't matter what we say, they are going to follow what we model. And yes, for on the bedtime example, if you can just put them to bed every night at 8 and start with the, well, I'm saying this is not about the time that I'm mentioning, but at a certain time every night, get them to their room, put them on their bed, start with a book. You can have a discussion, you know, things can happen after that. But just to reinforce that thing every single time, I really don't think people understand the importance of that on so many levels. And this is the kind of thing that I think brings a lot of calm into your communication with your child and your connection with your child. And, you know, children are children. They're going to try and challenge that. There are some evenings where it's going to be easy and some evenings not. But that's where your consistency really is the key to the success that you're going to achieve in that area. And I think we really need to stress that, because we underestimate this. Oh, this is just a crazy week. You know, we're just going to try and get through it. Next week, we'll look at this again. No, you can't do that. You really can't do that. Just get yourself to a place where you're able to enforce this thing on a daily basis, and you will be amazed in the long term how much easier it's going to make your life.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And the other one that we talked about, and we can just cover very briefly because it's still kind of, it's got the same content to it, is this aspect of meal times. And especially when kids are older, there's so many opportunities for families to be going in different directions that we don't take the time, we don't have the time, we don't take the time to figure out when we're all going to be together. And that, in our family, that was mealtime. It was the only time that I could pretty much guarantee that everybody would see each other. So the discipline that was required of me was to say, if dinner is at 7 o'clock every night, I have to have dinner on the table at 7 o'clock. That's my responsibility. I have to be disciplined enough and consistent enough to do that. And then we all agree that my husband will be home for dinner at 7 to the extent he can, that the kids, they've got their homework sorted, or we're managing their sports schedule or whatever it is, but everybody knows that this is a rule, so to speak, and the benefit of it is that if we didn't have that as a family, the communication, the relationships really would have suffered. Because if people aren't, if kids aren't seeing each other, if they're not seeing their parents, we're all living our own separate lives. We're under the same roof, but it's like strangers coming and going. The commonality is the refrigerator and nothing.
Yeah.
And
And the bathroom. Yeah, that's about it.
yeah. We really, we need to think about that as parents. And we need to think about, how do we make sure that our family, the family, the relationships are solid. And I think one of the ways of doing that is with this consistency around dinner time, to the extent that it's possible.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And that helps a lot with younger children as well. Again, to establish a pattern that is, body, mind, and spirit. This is what happens at this time. And if everyone can just stick to that, I mean, as you said, the relationships are, the responsibility is on you to have a meal ready by that time, whatever. There are going to be days where you don't have time to cook. Then just get the fast food on the table by that time. I mean, that's not the ideal, but again, it's about, what structure are you putting in place? What are the actual effects of this one thing that you commit to doing every single day? The benefits are endless. It's, as you say, it's not just about the meal. It's about regulating your system. It's about coming together as a family, and seeing and connecting and spending that special time together. It's about respecting one another's time, because at that time, mom has gone to the trouble to get all of this together for us. We are going to respect that. We are going to show respect and show up for each other and really value what is being given to us. There are so many benefits to having these kinds of things in place. And again, if your child has had a rough day and he knows, tonight we can talk about it, tonight I'm going to get all the love and attention, everything that I need to make myself feel better. And then the other thing that I just quickly want to mention, what immediately comes to mind when we talk about this, is prioritizing what is important to you. Because that is when the social media needs to be put away. That's when the TV needs to be off. That is when we are actually going to put this time aside to focus on each other and our needs and stand together as a family. That to me is one of the greatest benefits, because I think I see a lot of that lacking today. Children don't know how to prioritize anymore, because what really carries value in their life, those parameters are changing, and we don't want that. We need to still be, family is first and foremost on any given day, because that's the greatest gift that we have to give them.
Yeah, and it's a topic for another day, but
oh yes, it's a big one.
One of the things that we know, especially in the teenage years, that kids are feeling lonely, isolated, depressed, anxious, and a lot of it is because they're not getting that nurture that they need at home, because we're just too busy. So, okay, because we probably should close this one right now. It could be a topic for a very, very long time.
We can carry on. Yeah,
we can. So what I'd love to do is encourage our audience to maybe share with us where they have problems with consistency? What
Mhm.
are the struggles there that we can all learn from each other? I know for me personally, I really needed to be very disciplined, and my nature is not to be disciplined. So there were struggles. There were struggles for me in all of that, and I think that we all struggle. We all struggle with all of this. So being able to share it and know that we're normal and there's nothing wrong. It's just we're all trying to figure it out as we go.
And there are easier ways to do it. So let's help each other find those. Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you, Mary-Lise.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
Kismaya.
time as always. And until next week.
Yes. See you soon. Bye.